Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Dr. Wan Zanani. I am Mega Kartika BT Misrul, grade metric number of S55504. Today I would like to present my individual assignment for FAR3 regarding to the ratio analysis. First of all, I would like to explain about the company background, which I have chosen. It is Genting Berhad and Panasonic Manufacturing Malaysia Berhad. It is the industry sector from the consumer products. Firstly, Genting Berhad, it is principally an investment holding and management company. It was incorporated in 1968 and listed in 1971. Genting Group was founded in 1965 by the late Tan Sri Lim Gotong. It is involved in leisure and hospitality, oil palm plantations, power generation, oil and gas, and many more, with operations spanning across the globe, including in Malaysia, the group's countries of origin. Second company is Panasonic Manufacturing Malaysia Berhad. It is the first plant to manufacture household electrical appliances in Malaysia, its parent company in Japan. It was established in Malaysia on 3rd September 1965 and listed in 14 December 1966. The late Tan Sri Konosuke Matsushita was the founder. Today, Panasonic has turned into a giant global business in more than 130 countries around the world. Panasonic brand name has emerged as one of the most welcome and trusted brand names for electrical home appliances chosen by most Malaysian households. Next, the ratio analysis I have chosen is liquidity ratio. It reflects a firm's or company's ability to satisfy its short-term obligation as they come due. There are some examples of liquidity ratio, including current ratio, quick ratio, account receivable turnover, and inventory turnover. For current ratio, it measures a company's ability to pay off its short-term obligation or current liabilities payable within 1 year with its total current assets such as cash, account receivable, and inventories. A higher ratio shows the better liquidity position of the company. The formula for current ratio is current assets divided by current liabilities. Then, quick ratio is an indicator of a company's short-term liquidity position and measures company's ability to meet its short-term obligation with its most liquid assets and therefore exclude inventories from its current assets. It is also known as the acid test ratio. Formula for quick ratio or acid test ratio is current assets minus inventory divided by current liabilities. Next, account receivable turnover. It measures a company's effectiveness in collecting its accounts receivable or the money owed by customers or clients, how quickly that short-term debt is collected or is paid. A firm that is efficient at collecting on its payments due will have a higher accounts receivable turnover. The formula is net credit sales over average account receivable. Then, inventory turnover is a financial ratio showing how many times a company has sold and replaced inventory during a given period. A company can then divide the days in the period by the inventory turnover formula to calculate the average number of days sales in inventory or the days it takes to sell the inventory on hand. The formula for inventory turnover is cost of goods sold over average inventory. Now I will show the steps and working calculation regarding to the ratio analysis. All the data was obtained from the company's annual report for the year of 2020. This is the data for the Genting Berhad and this is the data for Panasonic. To get the current ratio of Genting Berhad, it is current asset divided by the current liabilities. This is the working, and it is current ratio is 4.4480, or it can be in the Ringgit Malaysia form. So Genting Berhad had 4.45 of current asset to its current liabilities, which is more than 1.0, indicates that Genting have enough asset to pay for its short-term obligation. And then for quick ratio, after minus the inventory from its current asset is divided by the current liabilities, and the quick ratio for Genting Berhad is 4.3535. After deducting or excluding inventories, Genting Berhad have 4.35 ringgit in current assets for each 1 ringgit of its current liabilities, which is more than 1.0. This shows that Genting does have enough assets also to pay for its short-term obligation. And then for account receivable turnover for Genting Berhad, it is formula by net credit sale divided by average account receivable. Average account receivable is get by beginning account receivable by its ending account receivable divided by 2. This is its average account receivable. From this data, account receivable 2019 plus with the account receivable 2020. So the average the account receivable turnover for Genting is 1.75, indicate that Genting's collection of account receivable is efficient, and then it can be in average duration of accounts receivable, which is it is 47 days. it takes to collect its debts from the customer. Then move to the inventory turnover. It is calculated by cost of goods sold divided by its average inventory. Average inventory is get by added the beginning and ending of the inventory divided by 2. This is the average inventory. This inventory for 2019 plus with the 2020 inventory, then divide by 2, get this average inventory. So inventory turnover for Genting Berhad is 15.4256, which is 15 times. So indicates that Genting sells its inventory 15 times in a year. This shows that Genting sells its inventory fastly and has a strong sales. It can also be calculated by divided 365 days divided by its inventory turnover. So it get the 24 days. Next, this is for Panasonic Manufacturing Malaysia Berhad ratio analysis for the year of 2020. Its current ratio is, get this, by dividing current asset to its current liabilities. So Panasonic had 4 ringgit 55 cents of current asset to its current liabilities, which is more than 1.0. Panasonic has enough asset to pay for its short-term obligation. Then quick ratio after deducting the inventories. This is the quick ratio of Panasonic, which is RM4 ringgit 0.9 cent in current assets for each 1 ringgit of current liabilities, which is more than 1.0, shows that Panasonic also have enough asset to pay for its short-term obligation. Then for account receivable turnover, this is the average account receivable from its data. This account receivable beginning 2019 plus with the 2020 divided by 2, get the average account receivable. Then the account receivable turnover for Panasonic is 6.9742, which is indicate that Panasonic collection of account receivable is very efficient and it has a high proportion of quality customers that pay the debts quickly. Then last but not least, for inventory turnover, Panasonic average inventory is 61,372,000. Getting from this data at inventory 2019 with the 2020 inventory divided by 2. So this is the average inventory. And then the cost of goods sold divided by its average inventory. This is the inventory turnover, which is 13.8822. Indicates that it sells its inventory 14 times in a year. It shows that Panasonic has a strong sale and fastly sales of its inventory. This also can be present in the number of days. Next, we compare the ratio analysis for the year 2020 between the two companies, Genting Berhad and Panasonic. So we can see that Genting Berhad current ratio is 4 ringgit 45 cent and Panasonic is 4 ringgit 45 cent. This is show that Panasonic has a better current ratio in the year of 2020 compared to Genting, because Panasonic current ratio is 4.5523, which is more than 1.0 and higher than Genting, which is 4.4480. This means Panasonic's 40 has 4 ringgit and 55 cent of current asset to its current liabilities. However, Genting only had 4 ringgit and 55 cent. This indicates that both Panasonic and Genting does have enough asset or capital on hand to pay for its short-term obligation, or is able to cover its short-term debt with its current assets that will be paid in year or earnings. Next, move the quick ratio. This is for Genting and this is for Panasonic. After deducting or excluding inventories, Genting has a better quick ratio in the year of 2020 compared to Panasonic, right? So, because Genting quick ratio is larger, right? And then this shows that Genting had 4 ringgit and 37 cent of its liquid assets available to cover for each 1 ringgit of its current liabilities. However, as both Genting and Panasonic quick ratio is more than 1.0, it indicates that both does have enough asset to pay for its short-term obligation and is able to cover its short-term debt in a year or less with its current assets after exclude inventories. So the higher the ratio result will give the better company's liquidity and financial health. Then move to the account receivable turnover for the both companies, which is Genting is 7.757808 times and Panasonic is really high, which is 647 times. So Panasonic has a better account receivable turnover ratio compared to Genting. So this is show that Panasonic has a high number of times of receivables are converted to cash in a period. This also indicates that Panasonic is more effective in collecting its account receivable or the money owed by customer or clients on its payments due, and with adequate credit policies. In addition, a high receivable turnover ratio indicates that Panasonic operates in a cash basis and has a high proportion of quality customers that pay their debts quickly. As you all know, that Panasonic main business activity is selling the electrical appliances or products to their customers. So it mainly based on cash basis. However, a low receivable turnover of Genting typically might due to an inadequate collection process or bad credit policies or customers that are not financially viable or creditworthy. So Genting should reassess its credit policies to ensure the timely collection of its receivables. We can also see from the days, the Panasonic only one day to collect their receivable, right? So it's really efficient. Last but not least is inventory turnover for the both company. Genting inventory turnover is 15.4256, and this is for the Panasonic only 13.882. In every so we rounded, it is 15 times for Genting and 14 times for the Panasonic. So Genting Berhad has the higher inventory turnover ratio compared to Panasonic because Genting tends to turn over its inventory 15 times in the year of 2020, while Panasonic only 14 times. Indicates that Genting has a better inventory turnover. So Genting seek to manage their inventories more efficiently than Panasonic and has a strong sale as the number of times its inventory being sold or used in a year is higher. Then we can see with in this form here, average of, so means that it is the average of days of sales of its inventory is higher in Panasonic than lower. So this is more quickly for Genting turn over its inventory than Panasonic, because Genting only take 24 days, but Panasonic takes 26 days to turn over its inventory. So in conclusion, both companies has its own strength and weaknesses in the ratio analysis. For example, that Panasonic has a better current ratio and a current receivable turnover. However, Genting Berhad has the better quick ratio and inventory turnover. So that's all from me. Thank you.